Welcome back to the fourth exercise session on this Return to Running Postnatal program. We know you can start this at any point in your journey, but we just ask that you're at least 8 weeks postnatal now and you're starting to feel a bit stronger and more comfortable exercising. So again, watching for any symptoms we don't want to see, which are pain around the pelvis or pain anywhere really, symptoms of incontinence, feelings of heaviness or dragging in the vagina, or any bleeding that we wouldn't expect, okay? So we're going to start with a warm-up now, doing some exercises we've done before, and then we'll get into the more difficult running specific exercises, which is very exciting. Okay, so we're going to start with some arm opening. So we've done this one before. So you're going to lift the top arm up in the air, and you're aiming to get a stretch through the middle part of your back, so around where your bra strap is. And the aim is to get the shoulder blade towards the floor, not your hand. So shoulder blade, and then coming back in again. So we breathe in to prepare. Breathing out to move, and make sure you've got something under your head here to protect your neck, and you turn your head with your hand, so you follow your hand with your eyes. Good. And one more. And with this one, if the stretch feels too strong in the pec, so the chest of the upper arm, you can just bend the upper arm just to soften that stretch. Okay, so again, the main aim of the stretch is towards this part of your back here. Okay. So you're going to do 8 to 10 of those on each side, and making sure, as I said, that the head is nice and supported as you do them. So seeing as we're on our sides, the next exercise we're going to do is the clown. So making sure the feet, the ankles are stacked, the knees, the hips, the shoulders. And before you start, just tilt this pelvis away from you, just to take some of the strain off the lower part of the waist, okay? Then from here, engaging through your core, going to keep the feet together and lifting the knee in the air. So for this exercise, you should feel the muscle behind your hip bone working. So this side part of the bum, okay? Again, you shouldn't feel any pain through the pubic bone or around the back of the pelvis. It all should feel nice and comfortable. And if this feels a little bit easy, what you can do is bring the feet up in the air. Good. And again, if it still feels a little bit easy, you can pop a light band around the knees, so you're just pushing against resistance, okay? So making sure that you don't collapse through that waist as you're doing it. Good, and aiming for 15 of these on each side. Okay, now resting down, you're going to come onto your back next. Okay, so this exercise, shoulder bridge, you're going to get the big part of the bum working, the glute max. We're going to slowly curl up into a shoulder bridge, making sure it feels like the bum is doing the lifting, that you're not pushing up with your back. Good. Now this time we're going to hold this position. Keep the hips nice and level, keep the thighs level, and just slowly straighten out this right leg. Good. Great. So when you're in this position, you should feel the bum of the leg you're still relying on working really hard. Good. And then bend the knee, and we'll do the same on the other side. So now working this bum cheek really hard to keep you up there. So make sure it feels like the bum is doing the holding up in the air, not the back. Bend this knee. And then curling back down again to get that nice stretch to the lower part of the back. Good. And again, so curling up. Good. And slowly straightening out one leg. So really working this bum cheek nice and hard. And back down again. And the other. And so with this exercise, you don't want to feel any pain through the back of the pelvis here. If it feels like it's a bit much too soon, just do some curling up and down with both feet on the floor, that's fine. Or what you can do as a kind of an in-between level is, if you come up again, instead of lifting the leg all the way out, you can just come up onto a tiptoe. So you take the weight off this leg, so this leg still has to work harder, but you're not lifting it all the way out, okay? And then back down, and the same on this side. And then back down, and curl down. And one more alternative is, if you feel just going up that all the way is too much, you just come up 3/4 of the way. So come up to there, and now straighten the leg all the way out. So as long as you can still feel the bum working hard on the leg that's still on the floor, that's fine. Okay, and the other side. And then curling back down. So again, aiming to do maybe 10 to 15 of these as long as it's comfortable. Okay, next exercise then, we're up onto our hands and knees. Do hands down this end. And we're going to do the Superman exercise, okay? Yeah. Okay, so settling into our neutral position here. So we have shoulders above wrists, and then hips above knees. With this, I think as we said before, if you feel it's uncomfortable through your wrists, or if you had issues with your wrists during pregnancy, you can go up onto your fists, or in that position there, you can put a folded over towel underneath the heel of your hands, okay, just to take the stress off the wrists. Okay, so let's find our neutral position in this on your hands and knees. So you're going to tilt your bum up towards the ceiling. Good, and then tuck the bum under. And again, tilt towards the ceiling and under. And then where you want to settle is halfway between those two extremes. Good. And we're going to engage through your core. Good. So with Superman, what we're going to do is you aim to keep this area here as still as possible. So imagine something like an egg sitting in the small of your back. You're trying to keep it nice and still as we reach one arm and the opposite leg away from each other. Good. So you're using your bum to lift the leg in the air here. Good. And then back down again. And then the other side. So lift the leg in the air and reaching away. Good. And back down again. So doing it nice and slowly. There shouldn't be any pain. You're watching that you're not letting the back arch as you lift the leg. You're trying not to sway from side to side. If it feels too much to actually lift the limbs, what you can do is just slide them along the floor. So we'll lift on this rep. Yeah. And then coming in on the next rep, we're going to just slide along the floor. Good. And back in. And the same on the other. Good. And back in. So with this one, aiming for 8 to 10 on each side. But again, it should be comfortable. It shouldn't feel any pain anywhere, okay? And so on to the last exercise in our warm-up. So this is weighted lunges. We've done this one before. So we're going to go in our static position again. Keep your stride shorter if you've had any pelvic pain recently or in the SIJ at the back. And then we're going to bend the two knees, come down. Weight is primarily on the front leg. And then use the thigh and the bum of the front leg to come back up. So lowering down, keep your hips level, keep your shoulders level as you come up and down. So making sure you're using your bum to help you come back up again. All right. And weights wise, again, somewhere between 2 kilos and 4 kilos in each hand should be fine. If it feels like it's too much and you can't get through to the end of the repetitions, decrease the weight a little bit. So we're going to aim for 12 on each leg, okay? Again, should be comfortable throughout the entire range. Okay, so popping that down. Now we're moving on to the more running specific exercises, which is exciting. So with running, if you think about it, you're essentially hopping from one leg onto the other and back again over and over and over. So you need to be able to balance well on one leg as you're doing it. So we're going to practice that now. So balancing on one leg, it may seem very easy. You know, you see people staring at a spot on the floor, but you need to be able to look around as you're doing it. So looking around, and you need to make sure you're using the right muscles to do it. So what you don't want to feel is that you're tensing your foot massively to achieve it, or that you're having to stare at a spot on the floor. So keep the knee nice and soft. Think about either if you're in your bare feet or in shoes, maintaining the arch in the foot. And then you want to make sure your hips are staying level, you're not swaying over to the side to do it. Your shoulders are staying level, core is engaged, you're maintaining your neutral and holding that position. So start off with holding for 10 seconds on each side and build up to being able to hold for a minute, okay? Instead of wobbling all around the place and just trying to grip with your foot to stabilize you, you would be better by holding onto a foam roller, stabilizing yourself, and then working to take your hand off that roller, okay? So steady yourself first and then take the hand off. Okay, so that's perfect. Then the next exercise is the single leg knee bend. So again, standing on one leg. Okay, so balance yourself first of all. And then we're going to think about just bending that knee to come down. Good. And then using the thigh and the bum to come back up again. You can sit the bum back as you come down so the knee doesn't shift forwards too much. And then coming back up again. So this is really important with running because it's what happens every time your leg lands. You land on a bent knee and it bends a little bit further. So you need to be able to control it with every stride when running. Okay? So again, with this one, if you're wobbling all over the place, it's better to have your finger on a wall, on a chair, on a foam roller to steady yourself, get the correct muscles working, and then work on taking your hand off the roller. Okay? So with this, we're going to aim to do 10 on each side. And thinking about having your core engaged as you do it as well. Okay, So the next exercise we're going to do now is called the running man. Okay, so we're kind of combining those two exercises we were just doing. So balancing on one leg, have that knee slightly bent. Okay, and you can sit your bum back a little bit. And from there then, with alternate arm and alternate leg, you're going to do the motion of running. Okay, so you should feel the bum of the leg you're standing on. So in Chessie's case, the right bum, working hard to keep you nice and steady here. Okay, so your torso, your trunk should be staying pretty steady, and you're just moving the 3 limbs that are in the air. Okay, good. And aiming for this one again, 10 on each side. Good. Core on as you're doing it, and make sure you don't hold your breath, that you're breathing through the exercise as you do it. Okay, so we're doing that one on both sides. And then next exercise, so we're going to do jogging on the spot for a minute. So if you're very recently postnatal, this might feel a bit funny, and are you allowed to do it, aren't you allowed to do it? But if everything has been going fine so far in the program and you're continuing to be asymptomatic, you're fine to do it, okay? So of course, we're going to think about engaging our pelvic floor before we do it. And just, you can start off with 10 seconds, you can start off with 20 seconds, or just see how you're feeling, but we're ultimately aiming to get up to a minute of jogging on the spot. Okay, so standing, think about engaging the pelvic floor, so holding in wind as you do it, and just being nice and soft on your feet, okay? So if you imagine you were in your apartment and there's an elderly lady below you and you don't want to wake her up, and you're practicing your jogging on the spot. So nice and light on the spot, and just getting used to all the muscles. You won't have done any impact in a long time, so getting used to all the muscles having impact again, okay? Good. So as I said, start off with 10 seconds if that's all you feel like doing, and work up to a minute. Okay, then the next exercise again is working on controlling impact. So with this one, it's forward bounds. So what we're going to do is say jump 2 feet forwards, good, and then step back. And what you're aiming for here is a soft landing, okay? So if you think of jumping into a puddle and you're trying to not allow any splash, okay? So you jump and then you land nice and soft, and it's like you sit into a mini squat. You don't need to go into a deep squat, just into a mini squat. So your heels hit the floor. So you will land towards the front of your foot to begin with, and then the heels hit the floor afterwards, all the time keeping your core and your pelvic floor on. And what we're doing here is we're teaching the muscles to take the impact again. What you don't want to do is land and jar your back or jar your knees. You're thinking of everything being soft landing, okay? And then the last one is single leg hopping. So again, challenging the pelvic floor. So we think of engaging the pelvic floor, hold in the wind, and again, trying to balance on that single leg. And we're going to do 10 hops on one side. Good. And then on the other side as well. Okay, good. So nice and soft, okay? Think springy, springy, springy like a rabbit. Okay, and taking a break. So then next exercise, we're going to go back down onto our hands and knees again. So now we're doing the knee hovers. So settling into our neutral position again. So a quick tilt, so up towards the ceiling, and then tuck the bum under, and then we settle halfway between. Again, do whatever is most comfortable for your wrists here. And then we're going to have the toes tucked under, core engaged. So what we're watching for with this one is, so you're looking to use the same muscles as we did with double tabletop in the last session, but this time you're on your hands and knees. So if you look down between your legs and look at your stomach as you do this one, so you can do this for the first couple of repetitions just to check what's going on. All you're going to do is breathe out and hover the knees 2 or 3 inches off the floor. And you want to feel that you're able to tension through these lower abdominal muscles. What you don't want to feel is that you see a big drop of the tummy as you do it and everything just goes, ugh, like that, okay? So then breathing in to come back down again. So keeping your deep core engaged. On the next breath out, you're going to lift up again, 2-3 inches off the floor, and think of drawing that tummy up towards the ceiling as you do it, and then breathing in to come back down again. Okay, we'll do one more while you're watching, and breathing out to come up. If you feel, or if you can see that everything just drops as you're doing this, it might be a step too far for you now, and you just stick to the abs exercises from the previous session and work up to doing this one again, okay? So we'll do 1 or 2 more. And then the progression of it is stay up in the air longer, okay? So stay up for a couple of breaths each time and then coming back down again. That will also be tougher on your arms, so make sure that your arms are feeling nice and strong. But with kids around, they tend to be getting stronger by themselves anyway. Okay, and back down. Aiming to start with 8 to 10 and working up to 15, and probably it will be your arms that can go first, okay? So that's the end of this exercise session. Cardio wise, you can keep building on the cardio that you are doing. If swimming is something that you have loved and want to get back to, and you've been given the okay by your healthcare provider, that's fine to do as well. But just watch. Lower your expectations. Don't expect your pre-pregnancy fitness to come back, or even like the swimming that you were doing towards the end of pregnancy, if you manage to keep it up. Just see how you feel on the day. Do what you're able for. You'll be using different muscles, but just enjoy being back in the pool. And also anyone who's been cycling, who is partial to a spin class, you can also now think about going back to some spin classes. But just remember, you need to be practical about it and think, is someone going to be here to mind the baby? Have I got the energy to get to a place to do it and come back again? And I mean, there's lots of times where you see grandparents or partners or sisters or friends loitering outside spin classes with a pram so that mom can go and get her sweat on and then come back again, okay? So do whatever you're able for, but just if you are feeling good and everything's ticking along nicely, you can start to increase your cardio to prep you for the end of this session where you're going to be like, go back running, or the end of the program where you're like, go back running. Okay, so enjoy these exercises. You're going to do them for the next 2 weeks. You can do them 2 to 3 times a week as long as everything is comfortable and you're not feeling any symptoms, as I said, of pain, incontinence, or heaviness or dragging in the vagina. Okay, and we'll see you in a few weeks.